What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We have a lot to talk about in this update this evening here. We're going to talk a little bit about the overall macro situation, some things that all of you guys need to be aware of. Then we're going to get right into some of your guys' favorite names here, Neo, Palantir, and Sofi, going over some of the most relevant and recent pieces of news, as well as the short-term charts here to give you guys a better understanding of what to expect next as we head into the end of this week and the beginning of next week. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, massive shout out to all the members of my private trading and investing community, Less Trades, More Profits. I'm going to throw out some of the gain screenshots over here, but in particular, big shout out to all of you guys that nailed that Walmart trade. That marks the fourth over 1,000% trade that I have handed out to the group over the last 3 weeks here. Now, I keep telling you guys and I keep warning you that I'm just going to keep handing these absolutely epic trades out. Some of you guys are still doubting here. That's fine, but I'm just going to keep showing you guys some of the wildest results from the group that I'm able to give everybody on a weekly basis. Now, if you guys do want to hop in there, make sure you guys check out that link down below. Use code August as well to get 50% off your first month. It's literally only $1 a day for you guys to hop in there and get access to everything that I have to offer you guys within that community. But again, if you are interested, make sure you guys hop in during the month of August to lock in that lower rate before prices go up at the end of the month here leading into September. So without further ado, let's get into everything here. The first thing that I want to cover is something that we've been mentioning over the last really week or so here after the FOMC meeting. We do have Neel Kashkari saying that it still may be appropriate in the near term to begin adjusting the policy rate. Now, I have a fun little nickname for Kashkari here. I like to call him Crashkari because at the beginning of this year and some other times in the past, his statements have moved markets around significantly. And remember, we are starting to see a lot of these Fed officials coming out in support of rate cuts coming in the near future, which is a very big difference from what we were seeing a couple of months ago. Now, granted, we did see that ISM data come out yesterday, and that was kind of hinting at a little bit of stagflation risk as we go into these next couple of months. But the big problem with what a lot of these economists and FOMC speakers or members have been actually doing, the big problem with their view is that they're treating stagflation and this massive potential increase to inflation as the base case and almost as a given for what's going to happen in the market, when that just in reality is not the case. We have not seen a massive spike in price levels throughout this year so far. We might see a little bit of a blip, but it probably is not going to be as big as a lot of these officials were making it out to be earlier this year, which could then lead the way for more rate cuts coming in the near future here. And again, after that big downward revision after the jobs data came out as well, again, we are starting to see those rate cut expectations slowly moving to the upside. Now, just thinking about overall positioning here too, this is something that we've been tracking a little bit. Quite impressive considering indices are hardly off the highs, but the 20-day change in Goldman's prime brokerage gross exposure logged its biggest unwind since March 2020. So we know that a lot of these large institutions have been wildly underweight this rally that we've seen in the broad market from the bottoms in April. Now, any sort of sniff at a move to the upside here, which we are seeing a pretty aggressive move to the upside in the overall market today, well, you're going to have to see a lot of these institutions chase price higher here. And again, the real risk to the market right now is really a big earnings slowdown, some margin compression, but also that stagflation narrative that really is probably not going to happen here. We already know that this administration wants to run the economy hot, so it is going to be very interesting to see where things move forward here, especially as we have a lot of this foreign money that does have to come back into US markets as well. Now let's move on here a little bit and start talking about some of these individual names. The first one that I want to talk about is Neo. Now we are seeing an interesting setup here on this daily time frame. We're trading in a nice flag here, but at the end of the day, Neo really isn't one that I'm looking to trade in the short term here. We are going to see a large amount of volatility with this name, obviously, and at the end of the day, we are going to be thesis driven on Neo. Are they going to be able to deliver on the promises that they've made to shareholders time and time again? Now, some of the things that we've been seeing out of Neo recently are very, very positive. Looking over here, Again, not this one. Let's see. NIO Onvo L90 among the top 3 large SUVs in China with weekly sales of 1,976 units. And then in addition here, this is something that we've been talking about as well. Onvo president shares video showing NIO factory operating around the clock to ship L90 SUVs. The production line for the L90 is operating around the clock with delivery efforts being accelerated. One of the main problems with the rollout of one of these prior Onvo models here was the delivery process was very slow. There were a lot of issues and the consumers were really not happy. So seeing them actually taking steps forward to rectify this, again, is another positive development for NIO in the short and medium term here. Now, again, we also saw the new Xpeng P7 getting over 10,000 pre-orders in just 6 minutes and 37 seconds after pre-sales started. And that could be one of the reasons here why NIO isn't quite able to follow through back above that 10 exponential moving average here on the daily time frame today, because they are seeing a increasing amount of demand for some of these other models here, specifically that new Xpeng model. Now, moving on here, let's talk a little bit about another retail favorite, one that, again, I gave out to you guys in the teens here. Congratulations to all the Palantir shareholders, guys. This has been an absolutely awesome winner for retail investors really as a whole over the last few years. Very, very positive reaction to Palantir's earnings. Now, again, some of the statements that I've made in the past, at some point coming in the near future, I think the market is going to start holding Palantir to a little bit of a higher standard with their earnings. Again, they are very overvalued in the short term by typical valuation metrics. But again, if everybody understands that already, it doesn't mean that this name cannot continue higher in the short term, especially after the numbers that they released. Again, Palantir topped Wall Street estimates and hiked its full year guidance due to the artificial intelligence boom. The AI software provider's revenues grew 48% during the period and hit $1 billion of revenue in a quarter for the first time, which is absolutely amazing here. Software analytics company has seen a boost from President Donald Trump's focus on cutting government costs. So again, Palantir still trading a lot higher. Now, I will still stick to my guns here and say that this is not necessarily the time to be going out and buying Palantir. There is a time and a place for everything. This is one that you really just kind of sit back, relax, watch all of those gains that I know a lot of you guys are sitting on. If this position is getting a little bit too overweight in your portfolio, you can consider selling some covered calls, maybe trimming a little bit of your position if that's what you want to do. But overall, I think Palantir is still going to be positioned for a lot of success coming over the next couple of years here, not only just because of the AI boom, but because of their relationships with all of these different businesses and also the US government. Now let's get into this last name that I want to talk about with you guys, and that is Sofi here. So again, I wanted to provide a little bit of an update for you guys on this chart here to give you a little bit of an understanding of what I'm kind of seeing. Again, this chart is relatively broken. You saw a very big move up or gap up on earnings here, gap down with the offering announcement, gap up after the announcement of the offering closed, and now you are just consolidating right around this daily 10 exponential moving average. Now, if I were forced to take a trade on Sofi here, just based on this chart setup, it probably is going to pull back a little bit, especially if it starts breaking down below this 2070 area here. But again, this one is probably going to trade in a pretty wide range here over the next month as buyers and sellers start to balance everything out here and get used to Sofi trading at these elevated levels and hopefully is able to trade even higher going into the end of the year. Sofi is another name that is continuing to grow very, very, very aggressively here. And again, we had some really solid entries. You guys all know at this point, I own this name at $6.55, currently trading at around $21.40 here. So absolutely epic returns for myself and the Less Trades More Profits community. But also I gave you guys that weekly breakout at 1360, I believe it was, when we take a look at this weekly chart. So again, when thinking about Sofi, yeah, right around 1360. So when thinking about Sofi, as always, there's a time and a place to be entering, selling, and doing all of these things in the market. Sofi is another one that you want to just kind of sit back, relax, and wait. You're going to hear this theme a lot in these videos here, that a lot of the time, guys, the smartest decision in the market is to sit back, relax, and do nothing. You don't want to be that active. That's where that Less Trades More Profits methodology comes from, making sure that you have conviction in the names that you are entering into, fully understanding them, and not trying to spread yourself too thin. Chasing all of these other typical retail trader nonsense moves in the market is really going to benefit you over the long run. So guys, that's going to wrap up this video here. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed, make sure you guys are, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos go live. And then again, for those of you guys making that right choice to hop into the LTMP group, I know you guys have seen the multi-1000% trades that I've called out over the last 4 weeks. I've told you guys more are coming, more keep showing up. I'm gonna say it again, more trades are gonna be coming over the next few weeks here. You are absolutely not gonna wanna miss them. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Until next time, guys, peace.